Hello and welcome on your live safari experience. We are on a search for a female leopard called Shadow, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Hello and welcome on what promises to be another magical sunset safari experience. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have Dazzling Dave on camera with me. Brent is out and about with Brian, and Stef is on bushwalk with Genre, and of course we have the inimitable Mr. James Henry in the tent. And so we are searching for all kinds of wonderful things to show you on your Safari Live experience. Dave, where do I go from here?
Oh, it's
Just a little bit further. Okay, perfect. And Dave, of course, was here with Taylor this morning on the Sunrise Safari, where they had Shadow, the lovely female leopard, the daughter of the Queen of Juma, Karula. And she decided to pop out right on the boundary, or close to the boundary between Arathusa and Simbombili and Juma. And I'm hoping that she decided to stay on either Arathusa or Juma, because that way we'll be able to have a chance to spend a little bit of time with her. I'm going to say this way. Our Shadow had a very full belly, and when I first got to her in the sighting this morning, and of course she was found by James' bushwalk team, so Rex and Viam this morning, she was found on foot, live on the bushwalk. Just duck through here and follow the vehicle tracks. Where could she be? Is she still here? It's been a cool afternoon this afternoon. Oh yes, what I was going to say was when I found her this morning, when I got to her this morning, she picked up a piece of meat. And she had a very full belly, and as far as we can tell, she didn't go back to a kill with Taylor, but she must have been finishing off the last remains with that full belly. Ooh. Against her still being here. A little Steenbok just over that dead log. Or has the little Steenbok not realized how close to danger he is running? Oops, she is running. Now, a little Steenbok of this size would most definitely be on a leopardess's menu. The female leopards tend to target a slightly smaller prey. I'm going to go and have a good search of the Guari thicket in front of us, see whether or not she's still lying up somewhere here. In the meantime, let's go over to James, who is in the tent, close to quarantine, and find out what he has to say.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to have you with us in the tent here. My name is James Henry. On camera today, Viam Dorenbrak. Hello, Viam. Oh. Viam is welcome in the tent, of course, as is Khanda, Eggsy from yesterday, because we're all short and the tent is not built for the tall. There we are. Now, we have a number of interesting new things to show you. The first thing, of course, is that Ronald the Rover is back up and running. So let's go and have a look at his feed. That's him over there. I'll click again. Let's see if, there we are. There is Ronald. Now watch him move, everybody. There's nothing coming down to drink at the moment, simply because it's a little bit, windy and blustery out there, so not very cold at all. And that is a look at Vuyatela Lodge. Ronald can go round. You can see some clouds there scudding over the sky. And from there, we'll just go a little bit forward now. We expect perhaps one or two Impala and perhaps the odd zebra and maybe a warthog or two to come along during the course of the afternoon. Ronald is not going to do a great deal of movement if there are any animals, because they tend to be a little nervous of him when he does walk. Right, so we're going to leave him in exactly the position we have him there and see what comes. And then we're going to go to the Juma cam, and you can now see exactly where Ronald is. There he is. I'll just give him a little wiggle so you can see he's alive. There you are. Very nice. Thankfully didn't drive into the water. Alex would have been very upset with me. And so that's the story with Ronald Rover. Other highlights from the tent today. A piece of elephant tooth, which we looked at on Bushwalk today. We'll put that under the microscope and see what that looks like during the course of the afternoon. Then we have a very special new friend. And his name is Kevin. Kevin the Kudu. Here he is. He's quite a magnificent fellow. He died, unfortunately, some time back, possibly eons ago. You can see most of the keratin is off of Kevin's horns. He has been thoroughly devoured by keratin-eating moths. Those are those strange sort of cocoon-like structures on his horns. And then we'll just quickly show you that the most of his face, of course, was probably eaten by the animals that caught him, and I suspect that they were lions. Lions or spotted hyena, the only animals able to catch something the size of a fully adult kudu. So this kudu was probably, look, they say you can count the age of a kudu by the turns in the horns. And what's interesting is that they say it's half a turn per year. So that's probably a year, that's 2 years, that's all the way around to, no, sorry, what am I saying? Yes, that's about right. So 2 years to there. So he was probably only about 4 or 5 years old when he was unfortunately devoured by the lions. Let's head across to Brent Leo Smith after his unspeakably wonderful drive yesterday evening. Let's find out what he's going to dish up for us today.
Welcome to the middle of the African bush on a live safari. My name, of course, as James just mentioned, is Brent Leo Smith, and I have my partner in crime, Brian Joubert. Oh, what is the thumb today, Brian?
It's a windy thumb.
It's a windy thumb, and windy it is out here in the bush. Sometimes Brian and I are known as the killer bees. You know why we're called the killer bees? Because we are quite lucky when we see the sightings. And we like to think we make our own luck, so hopefully we'll be making lots of luck today on the Sunset Safari. So Jamie's on her way to go check around where Shadow was last seen. Shadow is a female leopard who holds territory right on the western periphery of Juma Private Game Reserve, is where we're driving at the moment. So I'm just checking this road in case she came south, and I'm trying to see if her tracks cross into this area, or unfortunately, hopefully not, across our southern edge of traverse. If we have no luck, we're going to go east, and we're going to go east to a beautiful little corner of the Sabi Sands where we have traversed, called Cheetah Plains. The last time the killer bees attempted to go to Cheetah Plains, the vehicle had to come back in low range at a very slow speed, so hopefully today will be more successful. Now, if you're wondering about where we are, what we're doing, what animals we might see, and what fantastic characters we have here on Safari Live, please ask us questions. You can do that by email, questions@WildEarthTV, or you can do it by using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So it is a slightly overcast day, windy, so good for the cats, not so good for the prey species, the herbivores. So we'll keep checking. A few of the herbivores might be a bit jumpy in this cool, windy weather. But hopefully we can find a hungry cat or three on the prowl in this weather. Now, of course, James did mention we had the most unbelievable sunset safari last night. And for those of you who might be new, I'll give you a little bit of background. Our main pride of lions that we get here is called the Nkahuma Pride, named after this very tree. Not this very tree, but a tree the same species as this tree. It's a brown ivory tree, and in Shangaan it is called an Nkahuma tree. So the first time the pride was ever seen was sleeping in the shade. Of course, not much shade under this one at the moment, but there will be a lovely green flush a little bit later in the year. Unfortunately, no lions under it at the moment. But, who knows, maybe tomorrow. But the Nkahuma Pride are currently filled with 8 bundles of joy, 8 little cubs. And about 3 nights ago, or 4 nights ago, unfortunately 2 of those cubs got separated. And lion cubs have a very high mortality rate out here in the wild. About 70% of them do not make it through to adulthood. So very high mortality rate. So when cubs get lost from a pride, it's not so common that they get reunited. But we were there, and we were right there in the middle of the reunition. What word am I looking for, Brian? Well, for the wonderful coming together of the Nkahuma cubs with their siblings, cousins, aunts and mothers. It was absolutely beautiful, and I know a few of our regulars were moved to tears. So very, very nice to have a happy ending. Quite often when it comes to cubs out here, the endings are not so happy. I just want to have a look at something here. There's some male lion tracks. I just want to see if they go into Hoffman's or if they go into Arathusa. Now, if they go into Arathusa, we'll let Jamie know, because she's much heading towards that direction. And I heard there was a dead buffalo around Red Dam, so maybe those lions have sniffed it out. Let's have a quick look where these tracks head towards. Let's have a look. And do they cross over on that game path? Doesn't look like it. There is a track. Yeah, Brian spotted a track. Okay, well, while we try to figure out what's going on here, let's go see how Jamie's doing a little bit further to the west of us.
I'm also trying to figure out what is going on here, although a slightly different situation to the one that Brent finds himself in. So since Shadow is not where she was left this morning, which with cold weather like we've had today was kind of to be expected, decided to come back and see whereabouts, or come back to the spot where she picked up whatever she picked up this morning. And it looked this morning on our sunrise safari like an organ of a kill, but it was very, very hard to tell, and we were in a very difficult position because our tire was rapidly deflating at a speed that was a bit concerning, and I didn't really want to be in a leopard sighting trying to change a tire. So we called Taylor in, and she took over from here, and we never figured out exactly what it was that happened with Shadow. And I've come through here, I can't see anything. I've been checking that perhaps maybe there was something in the tree that she'd dropped, a kill that she'd hoisted perhaps, or did she just scavenge something, or was something scavenged from her by the hyenas that we saw, perhaps. We don't have an answer to that mystery because there's absolutely nothing here. I was really hoping, I have to be honest, that she had a kill hidden somewhere here, and that her disappearance then would only mean one thing really, and that's that she's gone to fetch Zara, her unofficial name. Zara being her 6-month-old cub, and it's not actually her name, it's the name that James gave them. Long story short, it's all part of the royal family connection. So, UK expat, I haven't heard anything about Shadow's cub. It's not looking, it's not looking positive, but at the same time, we've just had that incredible reunion with Brent and those little lion cubs. Admittedly, Shadow, where she was mating with Tingana, and she had been mating with him a little bit before that as well, which means quite an extended period of time that she spent away from a cub that is very, very small. At 6 months old, a leopard cub is not capable of taking care of itself. They are, however, used to being left alone for extended periods of time, and she would just know to stay in the same place, to go up a tree if there was any kind of a threat. She's old enough to escape from the most dangerous things out here. So I haven't given up just yet. So I'm hoping, well, I was hoping that there was a kill here, and that Shadow had gone to go and fetch her, because she did have a full belly, but there's no sign of anything. While I negotiate my way out of here, let's go and find out what other amazing things James has to show you in the tent.
Hello everybody again. This is not the Impala talking to you, it is I, and I'm here to show you something quite interesting called a lichen, which many of you have seen and I've shown you on Drive. I'm going to attempt to show it to you in hand first, mainly because, well, no. We're going to go straight to the microscope because it has, let me just find it in focus first. There is so much wind at the moment that everything keeps disappearing. Right, there we go. You can see that now. Now, that doesn't look like much, does it? A lichen, of course, is something very special that grows on rocks and trees and just about every surface on planet Earth, bar your own face. And if we just change the focus slightly as we go, what you can see is little bits of green. You can also see the wind blowing, very irksome indeed. And that bit of green there is a cyano or bacteria or an algae, one of each, and they live in amongst the filaments of a fungus. And that's what that is. And it's called a composite organism, and the organism itself doesn't show any of the characteristics, or very few of the characteristics of its composite parts. So I'm just going to try and get you a slightly better picture. There we are. That's much nicer. I can't actually lift the eyepiece of the microscope because unfortunately it will then disappear. So there you are, and it manages to survive, oh goodness gracious, I'll have to hold it very still. It manages to survive on various bits and pieces, either from the host plant or rock that it lives on, and largely probably from the air, I think you'll find. And I think what's so interesting about this is that it's a completely different kingdom of plants. So it doesn't, it's not a plant. It's not a plant, it's not a bacteria, it's not a fungus, it's not an animal. It's entirely in a different kingdom of its own. And it's probably not even definable as coming from a different kingdom, simply because it is this composite organism. And so in many respects, represents some kind of, I suppose, piece of evolutionary history that we would have, or organisms like us would have experienced way back many millions of years ago, and it's going through that phase now where you know that in your cells you've got these things called mitochondria, which used to be bacteria, and they're just part of the human makeup now, in much the same way that the lichen is now made up of fungus and cyanobacteria or algae. So that's the story of the lichens, not to be confused of course with werewolves. Let's go across to our very own werewolf, Mr. Brent Smith.
Unfortunately, those male lions look like they're headed into a property we don't have traverse over, but for every cat that leaves, a cat's got to come back. And I feel Cheetah Plains, we haven't been down there for a while. I'm very excited to go explore the windswept plains today. Who knows, maybe we'll find some windswept cheetah cruising across the open plains. Always a good spot to check on a cool day like today, this southern edge of our traverse, and there's always a chance Queen Karula, the dominant female leopard, through most of Juma, might have crossed from the other southern section of her territory. Here we go. So, hello. But while we keep looking in this wind-swept African scene, Jamie's got something who's almost above the wind.
Not the spots we were looking for, but something else equally welcome. A large male giraffe is standing at this very start of this open area, staring off across into the distance. Look at that, he's got a funny ear. Or am I imagining that? No, I don't think so. Definitely got a funny ear. Ah, look at him. Isn't he magnificent? Oh, standing ruminating. Apparently this particular gentleman was seen the other day at the pan. He's very easily recognizable with those bald patches around his nose, and then that sort of cauliflower type ear that he has happening there. It's droopy. He immediately stands out. Not, of course, that a giraffe that is 6 meters tall wouldn't stand out almost invariably. Now, perhaps with his extra height he knows where Shadow has gone. I tried asking him, but giraffe are notoriously quiet creatures. Or perhaps I'll be able to get some of that information out of him in the future. What do you think, mister? Well, we're going to go search for our spotted cat. Well, whether or not we find her, stay tuned to find out after the break. Of of course, we aren't actually doing any advert breaks, so in case you were wondering what that is all about, you're all watching us on the live stream where there are no breaks and there are no adverts, or at least no breaks for adverts. As you know, we are rehearsing for bigger and better things in the future, or at least bigger things, and that requires some polishing of our usual standards. There, for example, Kirsty's going to shout at me when I get back to camp because I ran over time, and as a result, if this were airing live to television, I would have been cut off. So that is why we need to practice, because clearly we are out of it. Sorry, Kirsty. And meanwhile, our beautiful male giraffe is just standing, ruminating completely peacefully. I love watching them ruminate. It's one of the most peaceful experiences you can enjoy. First, the mouth will get thoroughly chewed in this case. Okay, now really that's chewed. I'm sure that's chewed. Perhaps we should take notes. Oh, there we go. Down it goes. And up comes the next one. How cool is that? For those of you who missed what we were looking at, it's a bit subtle. Next time he swallows, have a look at his throat. As the bolus of grass, not grass, giraffe generally don't eat grass, they especially don't eat grass during a drought. Have a look at the bolus of leaves that he swallows, and then he brings up the next one, and you can actually see the reverse peristalsis of his neck muscles as it moves from his stomach up into his mouth. You'll see it with the next one. You see what I mean, though? It is a very peaceful process. Okay. Very peaceful process, very prolonged process. Here we go. Oh, no. Not there yet, not fully chewed. This is, of course, a wonderfully effective way of digesting things, making sure that the bolus is fully masticated. Yes, masticated. There we go, down it goes. Watch, watch, watch. Watch for the bulge. There it is. Ah, into his mouth. I swear he just winked at us as he did that. Oh, you've got to look carefully. It's amazing how rapidly it moves up as well, especially when you think of the distance it has to travel from his stomach to his mouth. Puts him into the ruminant family. So along with the antelope, those of you with very sharp eyes might have seen the impala that are behind him. They've all but disappeared, I think, at this point. Oh, here's that wind again. Brian's thumb most appropriately dressed up. So yes, it puts him into the ruminant family, along with the antelope and the buffalo. And he's a beautiful old gentleman. How do I know it's a boy? Yes, you beautiful. His height and the bald patches on top of the horns on top of his head, which are of course not called horns, they are called ossicones. Oh, and the next bolus comes up. I could quite happily sit here all day and watch him ruminate, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to send you back over to James to find out what's happening in that tent.
Well, a number of things are happening in the tent here, and of course we're in pretend ad break, and so we're going to sort of waffle for a minute until we come out of pretend ad break, and then we'll go into the real meat and vegetables of what we want to do here. I'm going to give you a sneak preview, everybody, in the imaginary advert break, who there is our little newest friend in the tent. His name is Solomon the Solifuge, and I'm going to put him under the microscope shortly, and then we're going to release him. We're not going to keep him for too long. He does look like he's panting slightly. We've got 20 minutes back to TV, imaginary TV. Hold on one second, here we go. 7, 6, 5. Welcome back, everybody. It's great to be with you here on your live safari from the middle of the Kruger National Park, the western fringes thereof. My name is James, VM's on camera, and today we've had some amazing giraffe. Brent is out looking for lions, Jamie's out looking for leopards, and Stef, well, he's wandering about here trying to search for the smaller things of the bush. Right down here we have a special quiz for you. Now I'm going to ask Kirsten in the final control to go to the microscope feed. To the mic, there we go. Right, everybody, there we are. What do you think that is? Your quiz is, what is this stuff? Let me just change the focus slightly so that you can get a good look. It's got some sort of silky things on the back end there. That's a bit of a clue. It looks a little bit like a sort of nice chicken wings you might get at a burger joint, perhaps. A Portuguese burger joint. You might get chicken wings that are with this colour. These are not chicken wings. They're under the microscope. So bear in mind they're very small. Please let us know what you think they are. Live, like I said, hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV, and the great reveal will take place in precisely, well, possibly when I next do a segment. So that is the competition for today. Now I'm going to move these out of under the microscope. Kirsten, I don't want to make everybody seasick. Right, there we are. Now, let me try and move them away. Don't look, everyone. Don't look. Shut your eyes. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. Now, we've got another nice thing to look at here. And that is a feather. I believe this to be the feather, everyone, of the fiery-necked nightjar. If not the fiery-necked nightjar, a nightjar of some description, but because we've just come out of the winter time, it's the only nightjar species that's been here during the course of the winter, so unless it's been here from last summer, that is what it is, a fiery-necked nightjar. Let's have a look at it under the microscope. Let me just adjust it, try and find a picture. Oh, look at that. There we are. Look at that, everybody. Now, what I want you to take a special note of is the fact that the left-hand side of each filament, I can't point this out because my fingers are too fat, but you can see the filaments. They're the sort of browny, coppery, thin, very obviously solid pieces there, the stripes. On the left-hand side of those, there's a slightly blue line. And on the right-hand side of those, there's a slightly sort of goldish line. Now, this is interesting, especially if we can manage to find a green pigeon's feather in exactly the same way as one side here is blue and the other side is sort of silver. On a green pigeon, which is not green at all, one side is blue and the other side is yellow, which of course gives the green pigeon its look. And that is how many of the birds achieve any kind of coloration. From this tiny little bird, let us go back to Brent Smith, who has got something, well, without feathers.
So even things without feathers are capable of moving into impossible places. There we go. Now, there is a little elephant. Now what I'm doing is I'm hoping they're going to move out of these thickets and closer to the road. We don't really want to disturb them. Elephants quite often don't like these strong winds. Now what are you so fascinated about there, little fella? Here we go. Come on, come out to play. Oh, hear an elephant trumpeting in the distance. Oh, there we go. Now, this area is home to about 16,000 elephants, the whole unfenced 8.5 million acres of the Greater Kruger National Park. I'd estimate the Sabi Sands probably has around 1,000 elephants in the northern sections here. We probably fluctuate maybe even more than 1,000 this year with the drought. But I'd say we probably fluctuate in the north up here between 500 and 700 elephants. Very difficult to ascertain is a lot of the elephants will move in and out of the areas, especially along the Kruger boundary. Now that little one hasn't quite mastered the use of his trunk yet. So little Ellies, for the first months of their life, spend a lot of time, probably quite frustrated, trying to get the muscles of their trunk to do what they want it to do, that they can see the adults doing. So they also spend quite a bit of time playing in comparison to the adults. Now, because they're reliant on their mother's milk for food, they're not so focused on feeding. Oh, there we go. There's some more elephants appearing out of the river system in front of us. Looks like a young bull. No, young female. As we sit quietly and listen, there's a lot of elephants in this area. Fortunately, they are in the thickets, which is not uncommon in this very windy weather. Just move a bit, see if we can find a spot where we can get a better view. Now, ex-Ranger would like to know, what animal do I think I would lose to in a staring competition? Well, of course, none of them. I'll stare them all down. I've never really thought about it, I'm afraid. What do you think, Brian?
Buffalo.
A buffalo, yes, there we go. You would lose a stare down with the buffalo. The buffalo bull, as he looks down his nose at you. Just hoping we'll get a gap to see some of those Ellies, but they're really in these thickets at the moment. That's about the most clear view we have. Strong winds, but there we go. You can see an adult who's mastered the art of the trunk, and they are able to perform such an incredible array of movement with those trunks. Over 100,000 muscles in an elephant's trunk, muscles and tendons depending on what you consider. Oh, there we go. Some more about to appear. And there comes the little. Sticking close to mom. You can see quite a lot of elephants around, just through the bushes at the back. So Eddie's going to move off into the thickets now. I'm going to try and see if... Here we go. Oh, look at you, managing to pick up a blade of grass, getting the hang of that old trunk thing. Using its foot. Practicing. So you'll often see the adults use their foot to dislodge grass or roots or trees. And there we go, the baby practicing the same behavior. Into the thickets they go. Let's move a little bit further down. Hopefully they're going to pop out into a nice open area. Elephant herd, this herd looks quite relaxed. They're definitely aware we're here. They're quite far away from us, but they're not showing any signs of being upset with our presence. really going into those Guari thickets now. Let's see if any of them have come up the other side yet. Okay, well, we stand by here, and I'm hoping that these Ellies are going to come through the thickets into these open areas to the west of us. Let's go see how Jamie's faring far west from here.
Trundling along the far western boundary of Juma, I hear that you've been chatting about an animal that you would win a staring contest with, or that would win a staring contest against you. And I have to tell you that the creature that we were just with, that we've just left, would, for me, undoubtedly be the winner of all staring competitions. Nothing can stare at you like a giraffe can stare at you. It's actually part of their defense mechanism. They'll all stand and stare and intimidate a predator. Basically, it's their way of saying, we've seen you, we're watching you, and keeping an eye on you. Which is kind of why I said perhaps that giraffe knows where Shadow might have gone, because our spotted minx has pulled a disappearing act. They might know as well. They very much... Oh, there was a moment where she looked a little tense. A lovely pair of female Impala. And I think they were actually one of the things that gave Shadow away this morning. With James, he was following, or having a look and investigating why the Impala of Impala Plains looked so upset. They do give off that very sharp barking alarm call when they spot predators. And is it by imagination, or are they starting to look a little bit pregnant? Just a little bit round around the belly. A healthiness that is not sort of fully carried out by the, or borne out by the condition of their hips and their shoulders. So they're looking thin, but at the same time, most of our Impala ewes are going to be pregnant. I think they are starting to show signs of pregnancy. Onwards to Red Dam with us to see whether or not Shadow has gone for a drink with her full belly. While we do that, let's go back over to the tent and see what's happening there.
I do hope Shadow has gone to have a drink, although today, like I said, as Ronald is finding, nothing much seems to be very thirsty. Now, we have a number of answers for our quiz today. Linda, you thought we were looking at burned bark or Steenbok dung. Your first guess was slightly closer than the second. I'm afraid, Kevin, you thought, or P. Hart, sorry, you thought it was a spider larder. I can see why you thought that as we look at the silk here, but it wasn't that. And then Taya, you said bug droppings. Lol. Well, they are, I'm not sure how lol they are, but they are certainly a kind of bug dropping, I suppose. It is what we call caterpillar frass, which basically means the dung of caterpillars, found very kindly by Taylor underneath a Combretum calinum plant. So that's what that is. And I'm just going to take it out now and show you exactly what it looks like for reals. And that's there what it looks like. And it's stuck together. Of course, a caterpillar is an organism that is able to produce lots of silk, of course. They produce a huge amount of silk. And that's how they make their little cocoons. And I suspect that these particular caterpillars are under the ground in cocoons waiting for better times, or waiting for the rain, which with any luck will drop fairly shortly. So we'll put that back. Now, we're about to go into an advert break, so please do join us afterwards. And during the advert break, I'm going to be preparing Solomon the Solifuge, and hopefully you'll come back and see the unbelievable detail on him. So stay with us, go and make your coffee, and we'll see you shortly. Obviously, we're not really an advert break, everybody. We're just pretending. I see. Sorry, I was supposed to shut up there. Thank you, Kirsten, for that. Shall we do the Solifuge now? Shall we wait for everybody on the imaginary advert break to join us? Right, let's go to Jamie with the giraffe, and then the Solifuge.
We're just going to roll backwards a little bit because our giraffe has beaten us across the western boundary and has already made it to Arathusa. and is currently munching happily away on a brand new green leaves. And before we reposition, just have a look at those beautiful green leaves at the top there, Dave. That is a happy sign. Look at that. Not only are they flowering, but fresh signs of spring, a little bit of greenery to sustain our poor animals during this incredibly long drought. Oh no. Oh dearie me, we're going to have to move. Sorry everybody. Hold on one moment. Some guests appear to be arriving. Oh, we'll be right back with our giraffe in one moment. Oh, oh. There we go. Definitely could have done that smoother. I think they might be lost. Hello! Cocoa bush. Cocoa bush. Hold on one moment, I'm just going to check. I think they're very lost. The stations, are there any lodges called Cocoa Bush around here, or something similar? And we've got 2 lost guests. I've never heard of this lodge. Okay, copy, thanks Brent. Did you ask at the gate?
Yeah, but not sure still.
Okay, hold on. I'm coming to help you now. Sorry, we're broadcasting. No, it's fine, no problem. I'm just going to put Dave where we can look at the giraffe quickly. I'm coming to help you. I'm coming to look. Let me see in 1 second. Okay, I'm just going to help these poor lost guests out. They're looking terribly desperate. And while I do that, I'm going to send you over to James so that he can keep you thoroughly entertained while I do that.
That amuses me an enormous amount. Oh well, I'm sure they'll find their way home sometime. Maybe not, but at least they're in the world's most beautiful country. Now, let's go and quickly have a look at Ronald. Ronald? Oh, we can't go to Ronald. We can go to Ronald. There we are. There is Ronald. You can see that he is not in fact seeing anything. Nothing has come to see him, but we have moved him. And you might see the most interesting thing in the top of your picture there. Of course, I'll just move him a little bit closer to the edge of the water. You can be very sure that there's a panicked Russian sitting in the final control right now in case I drive over the edge here. Ooh, watch out, Alex. What you can see on the sort of middle of your screen, there's the log. Just follow the line of the log to the left, and you'll see a round thing. That is the Nest Cam, everybody. And the Nest Cam, of course, has been providing us with great entertainment. Unfortunately, the elephants have removed the power supply, and it is no longer broadcasting as far as I know. Now, let's come back to me. We're going to have a look at this elephant tooth underneath the microscope. Elephant tooth, of course, is ivory. And let's just try and make this clear. There we go, you can see that now. It's not quite as astounding as I thought it was going to be. It just looks like a white screen there, doesn't it, Kirsten? It's not that's really not very amazing at all. Okay, well, scrap that. It looks better like that, actually. Right, good. Okay, well that's that then. Now I don't want to quick do the Solifuge just yet, of course. We need to wait for the TV to come back. We have a minute left, so what I will show you in the interim is another feather, again found by the very kind Taylor McCurdy, and it is a guinea fowl feather. These are in high demand around the world for various decorative purposes, and you can see why. We might have a quick look under the microscope. Let's have a look-see what it looks like. Oh, there we go. That's actually really lovely. See that? All the black there is melanin. The white is probably just an absence of melanin. Now we're going to go back into TV, everybody. Imaginary TV, of course. But we're going back into it shortly. 20 seconds time, everybody. I hope you're all ready. Are you panicked and ready? Here we go. Okay. 10 seconds to go, roughly. Are you ready, everyone? Here we go. I hope the imaginary TV audience is back. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to have you with us. As promised, a live view of a Solifuge. My name is James Hendry. VM is on camera. Out in the bush on foot, Stefan Winterboer. Don't know where he is right now. Jamie's looking for leopards. Brent is looking for lions. It's a wonderful live safari show here from the middle of the Sabi Sand, which of course is the western fringes of the iconic Kruger National Park. 8.5 million acres of untrammeled wildlife wilderness wonderland. That is many W's. Now, let's have a look at this quite astonishing creature that will make your blood cold. Look at him. Now, everybody, that is a Solifuge. Now, a Solifuge, in some parts of the world, known as a red Roman, a sun spider, but it is not a spider. And it is, believe it or not, and I actually almost don't want to tell you this because it looks so beastly terrifying, it's utterly harmless to human beings. Those things there, you can see it breathing, those things in the front there, the sort of sharp end, if you like, are fangs, they're teeth, and they're on the end of what we call chelicerae. That's the sort of fat, sort of pulpy bits there. And those things that look like legs, those front things that are now in the center of your screen with all the hairs on them, are actually pedipalps, which is a part of the mouth parts. And what they do with those long hairs, which are known as trichobothria, in the same way that they are on spiders and scorpions, they're sensory hairs, and they help those pedipalps to grab bits and pieces of prey, which would be normally other kinds of insects and maybe even other solifuges. They're voracious predators, and they've also got little suction cups on them. You might just be able to see a few little sort of thickenings towards the end of those trichobothria, so they help to grab whatever it is that this solifuge wants to eat. Then have a look at his eyes. They're called median eyes. Sorry about the jerkiness. They're called median eyes. And I just think this is the most amazing thing, especially as you can see he's breathing. Now let's just move slightly back on him, and you can see his little trachea sucking in air. We're going to release him. Look at that. I don't think that's air. I think that's the hemolymph, that's his blood being pumped through his body by a little fairly uncomplicated system of valves. How cool is this? There's the abdomen, and you can see the back legs, very long and powerful. They're the ones that do most of the running, of course, and they get slightly shorter and shorter towards the front. And there, that short bit there is the front leg. And it's not really used as a leg so much as it is to help the pedipalp, which is the thing on the top there, to push things towards those deathly fangs. How cool was that? I think this is the most amazing thing. We're going to release Solly simply because we thought about freezing him or perhaps acetoning him to death and pinning him on a piece of polystyrene, and then none of us could bring ourselves to do it. So we're going to release him, and hopefully we'll find another one sometime. Let's head across to Jamie, who has not got a Solifuge. She's got a mammal with a real heart, a big one.
A massive heart for pumping blood right
You may now
up
release
against
Solomon.
gravity to the
How cool was
top
that?
That
of
was
a
amazing.
giraffe's head.
So that whole
And just look at this, we have got the most fabulous view. Before we go into our giraffe, I should just tell you that our lost guests were well on their way to finding where they needed to be. It was not a new lodge. When I got out and read the name of the lodge, it was in Coral. Those of you familiar with the area will know that that is where Shanae works. There you go, in Coral Lodge. But luckily for us, our giraffe has shown a tremendous amount of patience, perhaps attracted by the irresistible lure of the green knobthorn leaves. Finally, proper signs of spring to help give our poor animals a break from their somewhat boring diet. Lynn in Florida, you want to know which has longer eyelashes. Would it be an elephant or a giraffe? An elephant, but only just. You have a look at the beautiful lashed eyes of this male giraffe, but have a very quick look because he's moving off, and we're going to have to as well in a moment. Isn't that beautiful? So elephants definitely have long eyelashes. This particular giraffe actually does seem to have relatively short eyelashes. That's a very good point. Typically giraffes' eyelashes look a little bit longer. He seemed to be quite thick but quite short. There's that floppy ear that lifts up every now and again. Oh, he is beautiful. Slowly wandering off to the west. Bye-bye, Mr. Floppy Ear. Okay, we do have to move now, because can you believe it, we're in the way once again. I just can't seem to pick the right spot at the moment. The reason I have to keep moving is because we are on the main road from the gate to all of the lodges, as indicated by our poor lost guests. Okie dokie, off you pop. Since our giraffe has disappeared, I'm going to move off this main road before I slowly drive myself insane. Let's find out what Brent is up to and where he is on Juma.
Guys, I'm just listening to an update on the radio. Okay. Okay. So here we go, Karula and both cubs have been found. They do have a kill, but unfortunately it is to the south of us. The animals that are around do that by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So those elephants unfortunately moved further into the thickets. Brian and I waited patiently, but unfortunately we lost all sight of them completely. So we're going to keep heading now towards the east. And hopefully we can find some cats down that side of the world. We were looking for Karula in this area, and for those of you not sure, Karula is the dominant female leopard, but it seems that she's just out of our traverse area. But there we have a fluffy bottom. Oh, a mobile fluffy bottom. Oh, and baboons. So there's a waterbuck. And I'm going to try get you a view. Brian, you see that tree that looks like it's moving too much for wind? That green one there. There was a baboon in it. Yeah. No, so come out. To the right slightly. Keep coming. That one. That green one. I think it's jumped down. And there's a troop of baboons around here. I'm going to see if we can get a view of them. The Chakma baboon. Quite an impressive primate. Now, a Chakma baboon, a big male Chakma baboon, is sometimes known as a dog baboon. There he is. Oh, there's some Nyala, baboons and Nyala, all sorts there. Moving through the thickets. Okay, let's try and see if we can get a bit closer. Now, a lot of these animals are going to be a little bit nervous in this windy weather. Let's just get in there. See if we can catch the tail of the troop. Now, at the moment, the baboons, you often find them with Impala and Inyala and other animals. But when those other animals have young babies, baboons are a threat to them. Now, especially when the Impalas give birth, big male baboons are really fond of baby Impala flesh. Looks like they're going, like most things today, in this really windy weather. They're proving to be a bit skittish. There we go. It's a female. You see that very distinct swelling around her nether regions. That's to signify that she is an estrus. So they have visual signs as well as chemical signs, baboons. So when a female's bottom is swelled and red like that, it means she is ready for mating. Oh, there's still some more coming through in front of us, Brian. Oh, no, I don't think he noticed us. Oh, it's having a dig. What did it find? Oh, it's running now. Looks like a young female, that one. Oh, off they all go. I think that's the last of them. Do have quite a few other creatures around us. There we go. Female Impala chewing the cud. Now, this is a little bit of a fun game. So we're not going to move. And from this one spot, we've got an Impala, an Impala. We've seen a baboon. You can see the Impala just off to the left of the Impala. And we've got a Waterbuck over here. So we're going to go all species, not just mammals. We're going to see how many different species we can see without moving. So baboon, Impala, Impala, Waterbuck. So that's 4 so far. Okay. Oh, I'm not allowed to move. That's so frustrating. But it should come out into the open shortly. There we go. So, what have you got, Brian? You spotted something. No, just come out a bit. Oh, there we go. That's not one I saw. What bird was hopping across the ground there? Oh, we got a little white-browed scrub robin. Skulking away. Well spotted. So what's that now? 5. Now, there. No, there we go. The rear end of an Natal spurfowl, Natal Franklin. 6 species. I can hear some babblers in the river system. Guys, see, look carefully what else. If you just keep still and look, oh, aren't they just too pretty? Here we go, the Natal spurfowl, gracing us with a nice view. There's another in the background, also foraging about. Now, in this cold, windy weather, it pays to just stop and look a little bit carefully, because there are amazing things around if you take the time to find them. So one of our ground nesting bird species, they've got very developed claws on their feet that they use to dig in the soil. They will eat grass seeds, but will also feed off quite a few different insect species. Oh, there you go, it's giving a little fluff. We just taking our time to listen carefully. So not only are you going to find things with your eyes, you're going to find them with your ears, and even sometimes with your sense of smell. But the Franklins are giving us a nice little show at the moment. So I think that's a trick for today. If we find one animal, we're going to stop. Oh, the baboon shouting behind us. Wow! Oh, Brian, look. Come. Behind us. He's climbed up onto a tree there. And he's not shouting an alarm call. He's shouting at the rest of the troop. Have you got him there? Mm-hmm. Oh, there. Look at him shaking that. That's a dominance display. Watch now. If he does it again. No, that's one of the big males. And he was jumping up and down and shaking the tree, trying to be very impressive. There we go. Whoa! I don't think he's alarm calling at a leopard or a lion. He's shouting at the members of the troop. He might do the shaking of the tree again. Now, that could be because some of the troop members are not listening, and he wants to go that way. Hi, Isabella. Oh, he's going to go shout at someone. He's going to go chase one. let's just listen carefully. Sometimes there can be some great noises after. See, there we go, he's chasing. Looks like a youngster. Can't really see. And he's trying to herd them all. Isabella, I'll answer your question now. There we go, off he goes. Now, after this, sometimes you hear screaming and someone is getting scolded. Oh, well, off he went. Wow! Okay, so Isabella's wondering, what do baboons eat? Now, baboons are omnivores, Isabella. They eat everything. Oh. Look up in the tree, Brian. There we go. Middle is... There we go. He's chasing one who's moved into a smaller tree. Now, to get away from the big males, often baboons will move into very small trees with small branches that'll break. Just making sure he's well known. Just going to just see what's going on here. Baboons are often fascinating creatures to watch because they are quite busy. So Isabella, sorry, they eat everything basically. They're like human beings. They'll eat meat, they'll eat veggies, they'll eat insects, they'll eat snakes, they'll eat lizards, they'll eat grass, they'll eat flowers, fruits. Very varied diet. And then you can see how windy it is today. I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to see. We might move a little bit to try to get a bit closer, but with this wind, they might be quite unrelaxed. So while we've got a view of him up in the tree, it's quite nice to just sit and watch, listen to him shout. I wonder what he's saying, Brian. Come here! You! Yes, you! Naughty! Yeah, let's just watch him a few more seconds. If he doesn't move, we're going to try and get a bit closer to him. But look at that, just sitting in one spot for a little bit. We've had Waterbuck, Nyala, Impala, Baboon, white-browed scrub robin, and Natal franklin. So that's 6 species without moving. But let's see if we can see what he's shouting at and if he's going to discipline the rest of his troop. But while we reposition, let's go to a different primate, but just as loud, but this one's inside a tent.
That, of course, is the pot calling the kettle black. Now we are moving in towards the tent here, Juma Private Game Reserve, and you saw where we are, in the tent on Juma. Good. Now you know. Now, I have something interesting to show you. It is, of course, nearly 5 o'clock. Is it nearly 5 o'clock? No, probably not quite. It's 4 o'clock. But, of course, it's nearly tea time. And tea time could be any time between sort of 4 and 5 o'clock. And what one has with tea is cake. And on top of the cake, you put icing. Look at this delicious icing we've got here. Doesn't it look nice? When I tell you what this is, the sort of beautiful honey-coloured icing with chocolate chips in it, you won't think it's very delicious once I have shown you what this is. Okay, let's have a look at it. Kirsten, the great reveal. It is snake dung, everybody. Dung of a snake or a bird. It's very difficult to tell. It could be a bird, but it looks a bit large, so we think it's a snake. Any reptile or bird, remember, produces dung like this. Let me lift it up for you a bit, Vim. And the brown bits are fecal matter, and the white bits are the urine. And that urine turns that white colour because of the uric acid crystals that are in it. And that's the delicious icing that we were looking at earlier. Isn't that cool? I mean, well, not to eat, obviously. You don't really want to have that for tea. but I think it's still quite cool to look at. And birds and reptiles give birth, defecate all of that out together because they only have one opening. So the urethra and the anus all open out at the cloaca and then comes out together, and that's why it's always mixed together, birds and reptiles. Now, the other thing we have here is a fairly unidentified piece of dung, and I'm going to ask you, I can tell you what I think it is. Viam and I think that this is porcupine, and it was discovered again by our head fossicker-in-chief, Taylor McCurdy, and she's sitting outside looking wondrously on at this piece of dung that she's managed to find. Now let's have a closer look under the microscope, and what we can find is that it is entirely born of plant material. There you are. And if you look carefully in the middle of the screen, there are sort of some chips there that look like they've been very sort of cleanly cut, if you like, cleanly taken off the plant that they were eaten from, and that would be indicative absolutely of a rodent. And we know that a porcupine, of course, is a rodent, Africa's largest rodent, and they all, there's the wind. All rodents, of course, have those enormous teeth that defines them, and they are able to cut clean through things like the bark and wood that is eating here. Now, we have a great privilege, of course. It's so lovely to work with the man, and he's now finally managed to get himself together. He's probably had his tea already. He's out on foot. Let's go and find out from Stef what he's going to find you.
Thank you very much, James. Yes, indeed, we got ourselves out, and there's some new cables, freshly tin-foiled and insulation wrapped, and we are finally with you. For those of you watching for the first time, or one of the few times, I'm Stefan Winterboer, and today on camera we have Jean-Dre. Here we go. And why I'm sitting next to this particular termite mound is because there's a family of dwarf mongoose that have just disappeared in here. They're very fresh dung lying here on the floor. Tells us that they were just here, and I can hear members of the clan calling to the rest of their family, basically. I don't think there's any of them in here at the moment. They were just sunbathing. But mongoose, basically mongoose feces on the side of a termite mound can help you if you're lost in the bush. Generally, in this part of the world, south of the Tropic of Capricorn, the sun is almost always in the northern part of the sky, and it makes an arc east to west, but north. And so that side of these termite mounds is always a bit warmer. And because it's a bit warmer, the mongoose like to sunbathe on it. And just so that I can show you exactly what I'm talking about, this direction here is north. And look at all their poop. And on the other side of the termite mound, directly around, let's just get my arrows right, is south. And as you see, blissfully clear of any feces of any of these mongoose. So they can help you in the bush if you are lost and you know where you came from, or at least where you're going to. You can find your way by looking at a collection of these different termite mounds and seeing north from south. Alright. Oh, we've got some other type of bird of prey. Let's go and have a look at what it is. The vulture. Not a bird of prey at all, but a carrion feeder. Hang on, there's another one there as well. Also a vulture. Ah, and from the carrion feeders to a bit of carrion itself, off you go to Jamie with the stinky buffalo carcass.
Stinky is an understatement. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, sensitive viewers, please don't look. It's a dead buffalo, and nothing's feeding on it just yet, so we're not going to linger. I think we can leave it there. Goodness gracious. My eyes are watering, and I can taste it. How are you feeling there, Dave?
Awful, thank you.
Awful, great, let's go. Whoa! It's such a windy... It's such a windy day today. We're just to the south of Red Dam, and I think we'd be much better suited just going there instead. Oh, so there you go. Oh, that's where we are. No, that really is pungent. Holy moly. Right, so there's a dead buffalo there, in case you hadn't got that from our retching souls. We don't know what's killed it. It's one that was missing a tail, apparently, and it's going to be a fascinating sighting when something finds it. So there's a good chance it died of either old age, or probably old age exacerbated by the terrible conditions that our animals are under at the moment in terms of meeting their nutritional requirements. Whew, that's better. Breathe in the deep, fresh smell of the very clean Red Dam. It's better than the buffalo. Hello. At least you seem to be okay. So what we'll do is we'll come back to the dead buffalo at some point. Sorry, Dave. I think Dave just looked at me with you just looked at me with such disapproval in his eyes. I'm sorry, Dave. We've got to come back. We've got to come back at some point, because there's going to be hyenas and vultures and all kinds of wonderful things. I should have thought that was what attracted the vultures to this area this morning. Anyway, on to different and happier subjects, and a very, very much alive buffalo. No, that's not a buffalo. Goodness gracious, Jamie, that's a hippopotamus. I think I should go back to guiding school. That is a hippopotamus, not a buffalo. I've got buffalo on the brain, and in the sinuses, and in the back of my throat. Our hippopotamus is still here at Red Dam, looking okay, and in fact looking very sleepy, casually nodding off. Fast asleep. So this is the second dead buffalo carcass we've had near Red Dam in a couple of weeks, and if the same thing happens that happened the last time, which was that the hyenas dragged it into the dam itself, then our hippo will probably move out of this dam and go and see if he can't find somewhere else to be. Oh, look at that, he's giving us such a nice view of his bristly nose. Okay, boy. So that's not a yawn. That's not a tired yawn. Okay. So when hippo do that, that is not... Shame, boy. Okay. So when hippo do that, I'm not leaving because I'm scared of him. I'm leaving because he's upset. He's under stress. When hippo yawn, it's because they're trying, it's displacement behavior. They're trying to tell you that they're not happy. And he's just given me that sign, so why would I sit and stay and make him unhappy some more? It's not really fair. So it's not that he's tired. It's not like a human yawn or needing oxygen. It's that he wants us to go away, and it's to show their tusks. So it gave us an awesome view of their enormous mouths, but it's just not appropriate for us to stay if he doesn't want us there. And I really feel desperately sorry for the hippo at the moment. I don't like stressing them out at all. Our pretty nightmare, you've heard of course about the Kruger National Park shutting down a couple of their water holes along the western boundary and a few other places during the drought, and you wanted to know whether Juma will be doing the same. Not as far as I know. No, I imagine not, for the future of the drought. So a lot of the reasons that has been done is because man-made water holes have in their own way created a lot of the problems that we're experiencing at the moment, which is the fact that it brings in animals that might not otherwise be here, like hippopotamus. And that's one of the reasons.
Here we go. Hello everybody. I don't know what we're looking at. Let's have a look. There we go. Sorry everyone, that's called tossing your mate under the bus. Oh no, now I've lost it. Hang on, the wind has blown. It's a Guari bush Come back to me, Kirst, and I'll just try and get it back up live. Sorry about this, everybody. It's a Guari bush with a magnificent little array of flowers, but in the flowers, which are 2 millimeters across, there are these astounding insects living. Hang on one sec, I'll just find it on the screen. There we are. Check this out. Isn't that incredible? Those flowers, everyone, are maybe 2 millimeters across. They are minute. And there is one of the insects that's living in there, so it's probably a millimeter long. All right, there isn't an imperial measure for something that small. There's something even smaller there. Look at the feelers. In the middle of the flower, you can see the feelers sticking out of another insect that's feeding inside the flower. I think this is just amazing. And the reason I picked this was not because I thought it would be interesting to look at, because I tell you what, when I whip this thing out from under the microscope, which I'm not going to do just yet, you'll be astounded at how completely kind of unremarkable it is. But I just think this is incredible, and it smells beautiful. That's why I picked it. That's what my story was. There, that's now perfectly in focus. Look at that thing eating there. It's the same thing, I think, as the first long black insect we saw. You can see one now moving just over there. There we are. Look at that. Going into an unopened, no, I think that's a flower that's already turned into a young fruit, which will eventually produce a nice Guari fruit. I think this is just amazing. Let's go back to the open flower, if my coordination will allow for it. There we are. And nothing else in that one. Let's move across slightly. There we are. How cool is this? And look at the, just even if the bottom right hand side of your screen, you can see a flower, and underneath the flower the stalk, and on the stalk a whole lot of little things growing, quite possibly not parts of the plant. There's another insect coming there. Bottom right hand side, look, it's a green one this time. These things are microscopic, everybody. It's a whole little ecosystem living on this branch. I think that those hairs and things might even be micro lichens, you know, tiny little lichens living on the plant. Look at this. What a world of discovery we live in, you know. And when we walked out, before we did these rehearsals, of course, we know that we're going to be rehearsing, especially for a long TV session in January. That's what these rehearsals are about. And we thought this was going to be impossible because we didn't think there was anything out here. You've seen how dry it is. There's not much in the way of flowers. There are almost no insects and things. And we thought we're never going to be able to do this from the tent because there'll be nothing to show. Well, we were wrong. There are the flowers. Look how tiny they are. I'll just put them next to my baby finger. That's how tiny the flowers are. And inside those flowers are all those insects, that incredible array of life living on this one stalk of one Guari bush in 8.5 million acres of wilderness. Magnificent. Set across to Stef, who has got a leaf to show you.
I'm trying to camouflage myself from you because this is what it must feel like for a leopard hunting an impala in this particular type of bush at the moment. There is nothing to hide behind at the moment. It is just little bits and pieces of stick and branch and nothingness. But come and have a look here. I just want to show you here. This is a tree that's been horned by a buffalo. So what a buffalo would have done is use this stick between their horns and their ears to try and wipe off ticks. So I have ears like a buffalo, and I'm going to demonstrate to you exactly how they would have done it. But they would have put their ear behind this and then scratched up and down. But because their horn comes this side here, they would have rubbed the bark off. And as they would have been scratching like this, they would have been rubbing the ticks and bits and pieces of caked mud and everything off. But it does injure the tree a little bit. And I think my point is the fact that this tree has recovered quite nicely. This is the hardwood. This is the piece of the tree that gives it its structure and its resilience. But this bark is where all the nutrients flow. And just have a look how thickened it's become. This tree has now obviously put a lot of energy into trying and repairing itself. And I just find that quite amazing. Now, for those of you who are watching us on the internet, we are going to go to an ad break. For those of you who are on TV, please don't go anywhere. We're going to come back straight after this break with some more exciting stuff for you. Alright, now for those of you who are on the internet with us, come and have a look here. This is also something quite exciting. I quite enjoy these bushes, you know. I actually find out, I think they're personally one of the bigger trees that we have here, but they never ever get bigger than this. This is a, now I've forgotten it, round leaf bloodwood, Pterocarpus rotundifolia. But just have a look at, this is the actual tree. I mean, that's quite a big tree. It's quite a sizable tree there. At least 2 hands across. But because elephants never allow it to get bigger than it is just made up of these sticks. And what elephants do is they come up to a stick like this, they grab it with their trunk, and then they kick. And as you can see with my foot, you see what's happening to the dust and the sand? And as they move around this particular tree, coppicing it, that's what it's called, they build this dish-shaped, circular, basically, hole. But what's amazing is this tree sheds its leaves every single winter, and in this hole, all this fantastic compost, or humus, falls. Not humus, is it? Yes, it is humus. All this fantastic humus collects, and when it rains, this fills up with water. This then decomposes and feeds the roots of these particular trees, and they get massive. That's a very, very old tree, that. I'd love to know how deep these things' roots go. I don't think I'm going to be digging one out very soon, but in any case, that thing there I just find the most amazing, resilient. Just not fighting elephant, but just realizing the fact that you just need to basically go with the flow. And that's that I'm going to have to show you for now. And I think Brent has something that he's dearly wanting to tell you about.
Here we go. A pair of Wahlbergs eagles. They're not looking very chuffed with this weather as well. You can see how windy it is as they fluff about. I'm going to try to get on the other side of them where we can get a better look. Now, we're on Cheetah Plains, and I heard a rumor that the sticks were very close to our boundary, so I'm just having to see if there are any tracks coming across. Hopefully we can get a better view of those Wahlbergs eagles as well. Do have a nest there. Now Wahlbergs eagle will use the same nest, or generally the same tree that the nest's in, year after year. Okay. There we go. I just need to be on the radio for a second. There we go. There, the Wahlbergs. Peter, how long do you think they crossed till they crossed the CP? Copy. Thank you very much. There we go. Oh, really looks uncomfortable in this weather. Some buffalo weaver nests around them. Welcome. We've made our way all the way down to a beautiful little property called Cheetah Plains, which is on our eastern side of our traverse. We've got a pair of Wahlbergs eagles. Now, these incredible eagles have traveled many thousands of kilometers to be here, to nest. So they come for our summer months. There we go, look at that. And they use the same nest year after year. Now, if we come out a little bit and slightly up to the right, there we go. You can see the nest. So there's quite a few big balls that look like nests there, but that's the raptor's nest. So like most eagles, they make quite a scruffy nest. And then there's other nests up there belong to a much smaller bird called a red-billed buffalo weaver. Now they will probably vacate those nests while the Wahlbergs are in residence, so they're not going to be too happy having two predatory birds living in their tree. So they will have multiple nests and probably move too. But the main reason we came down to Cheetah Plains is we're in search of a pride of lions. They're called the Styx Pride, and they were seen not too far from here. And there are those fluffy Wahlbergs, not enjoying this cold, windy weather. So they mostly eat insects, and of course little rodents, lizards, anything they might be able to get their talons on. But we're going to leave the Wahlbergs to be buffeted by the wind, and we're going to continue on our adventure. Hopefully we're going to have some feline luck with those lions a little bit later. Remember, this is live, and you are able to ask us questions about what we're doing by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So I'm going to be going very, very slowly, making sure we don't miss any lion or leopard tracks. Yuna, can I explain what areas we can traverse? Well, the Sabi Sands is 60,000 hectares, about 120,000 acres more or less, and it is made up of individually owned properties. So we have traverse agreements with 3 of those properties, so we can traverse Juma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains. Now, Juma and Arathusa do share a boundary, but unfortunately, Cheetah Plains, we have to drive down a long access road to get down here. But it is right on the border of the Kruger National Park, so you never know what might wander in during the day or night. Now, this area is home to a female leopard who Jamie saw for the first time not so long ago, and I think, as far as I know, Jamie is the only one of us to see it so far, and it is Tundi's unnamed cub. But there we go, I've just spotted my favorite antelope. It's a little female bushbuck. Now, they are absolutely gorgeous. You can see those wonderful little white spots on her. Now, her Latin name or scientific name is Traphalagus scriptus. Now, scriptus means to be drawn on, and you can see those little white spots. It looks like someone's taken a little pen and put spots on her. Now, strangely enough, the Zulu and Shangaan name is also the one who was drawn on. It is Mbabala, so the one who has been drawn on. There you go, beautiful little female bushbuck. Now, watch as they walk. They live in and around river systems and thickets, and they rely very heavily on being quite stealthy. So as she moves her feet, she will put her back, oh, she's got a baby! She'll put her back foot exactly where her front foot just stepped. Little baby bushbuck. Now, as those bushbucks disappear into the thickets and we continue to search for lions, let's go back to James, who sounds like he's got a 6-legged creature to show you.
I have what we call here the most recalcitrant beetle in the world, everybody. I cannot make it sit still. It's a really quite attractive fellow. He's tiny though, he's actually only viewable through the microscope. Let me just try and get a quick picture of him. Now, come now. Just behave, or we are going to be forced to acetone you. No, 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 there, no, there, quickly. There he is. You can see he's a number of amazing colours. There we go. Sorry everybody, there he is. I will try and focus him for you. Oh dear, please insert card. I'm not sure what that means. That's an absolute disaster. Anyway, maybe you can do a better job of showing him to everybody. There he is. He's in our little... This was Solomon's home, everybody. Solomon, as you can see, has been released. Oh, he's found a stick to sit on. Hang on a second. We're having a disastrous time here. Let me try once more with the microscope, because he's now on a stick. There we go. He's gone. There we are. Quickly! Quickly! There we are, everybody. He's copper and green and beautiful, and I don't know what else he is, but he doesn't want to be here, and so we are going to release him now. What an astounding thing that was. Good. Okay. Now, there was something else I wanted to show you.